Shit.
Hey, yo, I want to welcome you to a live edition on the Invest Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Invest. Follow me on Instagram at All Things Invest with three T's. This is my first time going live. Someone actually put it in my head and said, "Hey, we're going live today." And I was like, nah. And I was like, you know what? Let's do a pop up show. Let's do it. I remember when I first had started doing my podcast, like way back during like the heat of COVID. I'm like, man, I don't know about going live. Like, what if I mess up? What if it ain't good? You know what? Fuck that. It's live TV. Anything can happen. I kind of think when Will Smith had slapped Chris Rock, that shit might have been live. So like, it
What?
was not scripted. So I got a dope guest onto the show. My man is the host of the Melanated Convo podcast. I've been watching this guy for a while. He puts out some really good content, some things that are just really just relevant to our culture and to society. I was on his show. Now I got the chance to get this man onto my show and definitely pick his brain and talk about some dope shit. Let's welcome my man Harrison Anderson onto the Invest podcast. My man Harrison, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, my brother Jonathan? Man, it's the feeling is mutual, brother. I've been watching you and your guest and what you do in the park, and you know what I mean. So I'm a complete advocate for everything that you're doing in the community, brother. So I appreciate you, and I'm happy to be here today with you.
Definitely. Oh yeah, talk about the park, y'all. Just y'all that's listening live right now. The Invest Apparel Boot Camp is this Saturday. We got that popping off McKinley Park, 8:30 in the morning to 9:30. Definitely come out. Family fun. It's gonna be music, games, exercise. I got a healthy juice smoothie vendor coming out there. Come out and participate. Just come to clap and cheer. Calling out there and network, man. It's family fun. Bring the whole family. It's gonna be good. So Harrison, before we get the ball rolling today, man, just tell us a little bit about where you're from, how your upbringing was, and things like that. Who is Harrison Anderson?
Got it. Great question, brother. So my name is Harrison, y'all. I am from Sacramento, California.
Nice,
I was
yes.
raised right here in the south side of Sacramento.
Right.
Similar upbringing to a lot of our brothers in the country we live in. Man, I had a single mom. My father passed away when I was 8 years old, so I had three older brothers who I love and I admire and did their best to provide me tutelage, did their best to guide me as much as they could, keeping in mind that they were dealing with not having a father as well. So that's pretty much my upbringing.
Yeah, I remember when you had me on your show and a guest, you asked me the same question, and I was like, basically, I grew up like a lot of us brothers without a father in the house, and mom did her best, and it was pretty rough. And you would talk to me about, with my upbringing, do I feel I missed some things and some stuff like that. We will go in that a little bit later and kind of ask you about, kind of put that question on you.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about just the state of like society. Like shit's been crazy the last like couple of years, man. I remember when I launched my podcast, I launched it during COVID. So everything I did was like virtual, everything. I mean, it was crazy. So now we got COVID, we got monkeypox, we just got all this just craziness going on. We just got crazy, just violence just everywhere. It's like the world is just nothing's safe. Where you think it's safe, it's not safe. You got motherfuckers shooting up parades, and it's like afraid to take my daughter out place and things like that, man. So
Mhm.
what do you feel is like kind of fueling it? Because I mean, we've always had violence, but it seems like right now, man, like far as the time I've been born, I've been here 38 years. Seems like things are like at an all time high, man. What do you feel is fueling? Is it isn't just the inflation? People just stressed out, or people just
Well, I think the disarray that we see the country in, like in all the different parameters, whether it be from a political front, whether it be from a financial front, whether it be from a medical front, right? All of these different entities, I think, are having problems because, just to be completely honest, Jonathan, the leadership in this country, man, is full of shit,
for
in
sure,
my opinion. Like
right?
how they
Agreed.
approach things. I
Agreed.
think everyone has like a bottom line motivation for why they're doing things. And all the time, that motivation isn't to better people. Because if you think about the basic concept of you, my fellow brother, I want to see you do good, whether you white, black, green, it don't matter. I want to see you do good. I want to see you prosper. I'm going to be honest to you. You be honest to me. That type of premise sounds relatively simple, but it isn't in this American populace. So when we're dealing with politics and people in charge, I think it's just so many things going on behind the scenes that'll always be kind of difficult to get a handle on what's actually going on. But I think as an individual, the best thing you can do is create a healthy diet of information. I think sometimes when you watch too much news, you on YouTube too much, all of these entities can drive you fucking crazy. So you
Yeah,
have to create a diet of how you're gonna intake information, who you're gonna get it from, and how you're gonna vet out what's true or what isn't. You know what I mean?
definitely. So, with you having a melanated combo podcast, I mean, talk about some really like relevant stuff related to the culture, especially us Black people.
Mhm.
So, when did you first start the podcast, and what really made you want to start the podcast? You started a podcast that really brings value to people in the topics that you talk about. But Harrison, what gave you the idea to come out there and put that out?
I appreciate that, brother. So I would say around 2015, I so being a man who had four children, I got five total now, but I had four children by the age of 23, right? So
Wow. Okay.
this trying to take care of these kids, dealing with being an immature man, having separate baby mamas, like this was a traumatic experience on my psyche, my
Yeah.
mental state of being, my finances, everything, right?
Yeah.
So this put me in a position where I wanted to just seek knowledge. So I began reading books about the world, about history, and it finally hit me that I really wanted to make a difference in my community specifically. I love all people, right? But I wanted to make a difference in my community specifically, and I was like, okay, how can I approach these problems we have in our community from a relative state, like from
Mhm.
somewhere I can relate?
Mhm.
So the first thing I started doing, Jonathan, is just interviewing fathers, not on video, just interviewing fathers, transcribing it, putting it on my website, which was Melanated Fathers at the time. The
Okay.
my mindset behind that was I want to talk to fathers. So if there's a young father listening, they won't have to go through what I went through. I'll create a platform that acts as like tutelage and guidance and a mentor, even, right? So I'm doing the interviews and then I gradually begin to change things as I watch society change. So I said, okay, I'm transcribing it. Maybe they want to see me on camera. So then
Mhm.
I started doing things on camera. I started a company called Melanated Fathers of America, where I do a
Mhm.
annual softball game. We feed
Wow.
people on Thanksgiving, Christmas. During COVID, we were giving out lunches. So I started the organization just as um just a way to give back, just a way to get into the trenches with my people. I was always told if you want to lead people, you got to feed people. So
Yeah.
I'm big on creating something where I can give people and create a platform for fathers to just be heard. You know what I mean? And then from there, sometimes, Jonathan, I look back to how I started, and I don't know how the fuck I got to where I'm at, man. It's just so many different. I just kept going, brother. I just
Right.
kept going in the universe, my energy. It just landed me here. So now I have the Melanated Convo podcast, which is a YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and find it, the Melanated Convo. We're on Spotify and all the streaming platforms. And really, it's about uplifting people, but specifically my platform's like an Asian restaurant. You can go in there and it's gonna be Asian writing and all and everything going on. You can shop there if you want to, but it's specifically for Asian people. You know what I mean? So my
Right.
platform is for Black people, but anyone can benefit from it. I just see the need in our community to address, what goes on outside of the community, but what goes on inside of the community as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we need. So one thing that I admire about you and other people that have really, I would say, like broke down barriers, and I think we might have talked about it before. A lot of people they will talk about like people experience trauma, and people say, you know what, I was raised without a father. I come up from the ghetto, and this is why that I'm like that. But at the end of the day, though, Harrison, we still have choices. Like you started life as a immature man, bunch of baby mamas, bunch of typical stereotype nigga. I'll say that, but
Yeah.
you decided to make a change, go out there and read, educate yourself to get better, to grow, and then you decided to give back to others. I really admire that because you could have stayed. I know people that kind of stay in that same like box. So just explain to our viewers, the importance of just trying to find a way to break out of that stuff, break out of that vicious, crazy cycle. But it's hard though, am I right? It's
Mhm.
not really always easy, right?
It's very difficult, but early on, because I've always like at my core, I'm a person who want to see people happy. I want to be able to think outside of myself, right? But I have like a selfish nature about me too, being a Taurus and everything. So sometimes I'm thinking about myself, and and then I got my blinders on. But again, reading and just getting a better understanding of everything that goes on around me, that made me understand that yes, I need to take care of my family and my children, but I have to make sure I put as many people in position to be a thought leader, like to change how we see things in America. And as I began my process, I began to see how it affected people. Like early on, just when it was an idea and I'm doing these interviews, the effect I would have, even on just interviewing a father who never got an opportunity to talk about some of the stuff he'd been through, never got an opportunity to talk about his father. And
Mhm.
so I'm listening to these dudes talking. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like the universe was talking to me, Jonathan. I'm like, you know what? Whatever I do, I can't stop doing this. I have to do a version of this. I have to keep going. So I'm writing a book and I'm trying to do whatever I can to highlight the fact that black people in America are struggling.
Yeah.
And as a black man, we contribute to our struggle at times. And there's a system that's been put in play. We got to know who we are, and we got to know the sentiments of this system just so we can maneuver around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
will definitely tell you. I will make the whole show about that. But one thing I will say, I've been through it. I've been through the whole court system with the kids and the child custody, and at one point in time, being in my car, my head on the steering wheel, like, what did I do? Wrong. I just want to see my kids. I went to court and I felt like the judge was against me. They wouldn't even let me talk. Everything that they was saying, that she was saying, they was kind of taking it as it was being true. It was facts. I was like, yeah, so it's good that you have that forefathers, because there are some good dads out there
Yeah.
that's going through it, and then there also is some dads out there that need to improve and they need to get better.
Hmm.
So one thing I wanted to touch on really, really quickly, and this is a controversial subject. I don't know how you feel about it. I know how I feel about it. I have my own opinion about it, and I'm just gonna kind of like touch on it. So I know we had this really big Black Lives Matter kind of campaign. And I know there's been some sportscasters and analysts that got in trouble talking about like all lives matter and all that type of stuff. So one thing I admit is there do have some racist ass cops out there. And there are some cops that, do treat minorities a certain kind of way, treat you like you're already guilty, and they are, I think, a little bit trigger happy. But for one thing, to me, I think that, and I don't know how you feel. I feel Black lives to me should matter more to all Black people, because we
Hmm.
have. I mean, we'll see a cop shoot a brother, and that'll be like all over the news.
Hmm.
But you'll hear about another brother shooting a brother, and it'll be on the news maybe like one time. I mean, it's we kill each other a lot more than the cops is killing us. I mean, just in our city here, in Sacramento, the last couple
Hmm.
of years, man,
Hmm.
it's been real violent with the black on black crime. I mean, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter? I believe that Black lives should matter more to Black people. I feel that we should be
Hmm.
doing, why aren't we at the Capitol, marching about that when the brother gunned the brother down, the
Got you.
Midtown shootings, all that craziness that's been going on. What's your take on that?
Got you. Got you. So a couple things. One, you know, Black Lives Matter is more of a slogan and a catchphrase to me than anything else.
Right.
When we look at the specifics behind the organization per se, I'm not going to sit here in front and act like I've agreed with what I see from the organization per se, right? So I'll say that first. Now, the term Black Lives Matter, I think that whole process to me, I didn't understand everything I was seeing because we conflated too many things. Yes, Black lives should matter. So when someone says to me, Jonathan, well, no, all lives matter. That to me is someone who doesn't really understand what we're trying to say. Of
Right.
course, all lives matter, but in this country, minorities, poor people, black people have been treated a particular way.
Right.
The police interactions, we see that too. Now, as far as black people killing black people, yes. And here's the thing. Here's the caveat to me. All people who look like each other kill each other. For one, like so when they say black on black crime, I hear that as more political jargon than a fact because crime is a proximity based thing. If you're in the proximity of a person, you're going to hurt them based on proximity, not race per se, right? So,
Right.
and then I think we can have both conversations, even though I think they're separate. Like a cop is a sentient officer of the law with a gun. There's a responsibility that comes with that. See,
Right.
these aren't civilians just shooting at each other. There's a responsibility that comes with having that gun and that badge. You're paid to protect and serve. So if I'm a citizen who works a job and you're harassing me, possibly shoot me, that's counterproductive based on I'm paying your paycheck. Like that is a separate thing. Now, when I'm talking to black people and looking at how we treat each other in our community, yes, that's a problem. Yes, we need to address these things. Now, I'm being that I really appreciate history and understand the concepts of a lot of things that have happened in America. I'm not an excuse written person, but when I see the trauma in, for instance, I always go personal. I'll go to the neighborhood I grew up in where there was drugs being sold, niggas was killing each other, cops treated everybody like shit,
Mhm.
not a lot of resources. So to me, knowing that the ghettos in America was actually created, the ghettos in the United States of America are creations that was created. Then now we see what's happened after a system has neglected us, after environments have been created through redlining and other political measurements, right? So we create these environments for these people and then watch them fester. If you're outside of our community, if you're a politician, if you're someone like that, I say, okay, deal with that shit before you come to us. If you black, I say, hey, we know the history, we know what we've been going through. Let's try to avoid these pitfalls. Hey, let's realize that hurting one another has a much bigger negative impact on our entire community than you think. See, Jonathan, I'm hella contextual, bro. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have all these conversations could be had, but sometimes when looking at political pundits, looking at TV, they're weaponizing things to make their point. I don't like that. So if you dismiss a cop shooting me to directly say, well, we kill each other, we're not having a contextual conversation. We can actually talk about both.
Okay,
Both
I
are
like that.
true. Both are true
Right.
in different ways. So if I bring up to you, hey, cops is killing everybody in our community, the first thing you can't say to me is y'all kill each other. That can't happen. Let's
Yeah.
discuss the
First.
systematic issues that create police officers, because we all know police officers ain't bad, but you all got on the same damn uniform.
Yeah.
You make it difficult for me. I have to talk to you, get your vibe, and I say, oh, okay, this one of the cool ones. But I'm not gonna act like a cop get behind me right now, 42 years old, no warrant, no police record, no none of that. I get nervous.
Yeah, for
Someone
sure.
outside of my community can't tell me
Yep.
about that. So that's something that's real. See, but yes, you're right. There are things that we do to each other. The system put things on autopilot that we now do without even being told. So
Yeah.
both can be true, Jonathan.
Kind of a systematic setup. Talk about the
Yeah.
ghettos and all that. Like they kind of knew,
Mhm.
what was going to happen with all this shit that they're doing. It's like they know already.
Yep.
So really quickly, let's talk really quickly about just the importance of giving our young youth, especially our young black youth, like just positive like role models, man, and doing our best to try to set them up for success. Like I love what you do is super positive. I'm trying to, help the kids the best that I can. I feel like environment, Harrison, is what you're exposed to can definitely play a big role in your life, good or bad. Let's
Mhm.
talk about the importance of trying to be, positive role models. Like me myself, I'm 38, going on 39. When I first had my son, I had my son kind of young. He's 15 now. Yeah, man, I was in a much different place, in a much different space than I am now. I could say at that time, maybe I wasn't the best role model, but I evolved over time. I learned, I seen what others before me did, the mistakes that they made, and some I made, and really tried to just do better and learn and trying to be the best role model I can be for my children. And me at 39, like you were saying when you were younger, I don't know how I made it here. But I learned, I grew, and I evolved because the guy I was 15 years ago was a much different guy. But I feel I'm a good guy now. I try to do my best and I try to set an example for myself, my kids, and others. But what's the importance of just giving these kids some really good, healthy role models because they look up to what they see, good or bad, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think okay, so I don't necessarily like the term role model. I forgot who I heard say this, but this stuck with me. I like real model, right?
I like
So
that.
I like to
I like
be
that. Real
genuinely
model.
who I am,
Real
be
model.
genuinely who I am, and the essence of who I am as a black man. I got 5 kids, but I'm thinking about all black kids when I make decisions. Walking down the street, how I dress, what I wear, what I don't wear. That's me though. I'm thinking about all of us because
Real
each one
model.
teach one. You see what I'm saying? You never know how you can affect change on someone else. So yes, kids need to see positive influence. It needs to start in their home though. Like we need to realize our youth, all youth, black, white, whatever, all of our youth are under attack. The social media platforms, the amount of content a child has available for them to consume is astonishing,
It's
right?
crazy
So,
compared to what's
say,
coming up. Yeah.
so a rapper, and this is now we just back to black culture just real quick. A rapper, an entertainer, these type of individuals, because of social media, other platforms, they've been elevated to thought leaders almost.
Yeah.
Right? We're expecting them to say things about politics. We're expecting them to be the movers and shakers. When in actuality, I'm not gonna say shut up and dribble, but you got into what you got into to
Yeah.
be an athlete, to be
Right.
a rapper. That ain't your responsibility. You should want to be whatever, but that ain't your responsibility. You need to be who you are. So if it's
Yeah.
in you to mentor kids and be there for them, do that. If it's not, figure out a different way. But I think yes, kids need positive influences, and that positive male black influence for a young black kid needs to start with his father. And then he sees that, and his father can contextualize everything else he's looking at. Because I'm not going to put it on Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, LeBron.
Right.
I'm not going to put it on none of these individuals to inspire my kid to be whatever he wants to be. You see what I'm saying? That shit should start in your house. Even if it's your uncle in your house, your
Yep.
brother in your house. That's who should start with, hey, you look nice today. Hey, nice hair. Positive affirmations work amazingly, right? So when we
Yeah.
have our household sometime in the structure of black households, in the non-structure at times, all of these things play effect on your psyche. It plays effect on who you're going to be going forward as a man. So yes, everybody needs something positive to kind of hold on to. You just can't rely on society to do it. That's why I think we need leaders in the home first. If you find a
Right.
mentor somewhere outside of your house first, but men need to know the importance. Jonathan, I think of homes as small countries,
Hmm.
right? You got your own rules, got your own bylaws, got your own structure. You got the negative attributes of what happens if you do said thing. This is your country. Run your country the right way. If you want to teach your kid about history, about the country that we live in, as long as you're fair and honest, because history should be honest,
You keep it real.
information
Yeah.
should be honest, then
Yep.
you land where you land. But you be honest, you show them love, you show them empathy, you show them grace, you set them up correctly, you do everything you can financially. This is the type of young person that's going to flourish in the world that we live in now. Second part to that, I understand that's not the case. I wish there were more men inside of homes. The unfortunate part, we know the history about why it's not there, but for the bottom line, it's not there. So I take it upon myself to say, yes, I have 5 children, but I love all the kids around the world. All these young black kids that's going to be adults one day, we're not going to be here one day. So to even think about the fact that I'm going to have to deal with police brutality or different levels of homelessness or young black men who are shiftless, who don't want to go to school, who don't want to go to college, who don't want to raise a family, that scares me. So I put it on myself to say I'm going to embark on a mission to use me, because most of my shows, if I'm not interviewing people, because I do shows where it's just me, excuse me, most of the time I'm talking about me. Most of the time I'm taking a time from my life, a mentality I had, still have, and I'm using that in a form that can be helpful to all of our brothers, because hip hop artists and people who spew negative spells, because if you're chanting about some shit that's negative, it is a spell. They chant negative spells, and kids are influenced by this. We can't deny this fact. So I just like to be a counter to that, while still showing love for my brothers in hip hop who are in entertainment. Just because Farrakhan taught me something really important. I don't have to disagree. I don't have to be disagreeable with you to disagree with you, right? So there's elements about hip hop that I absolutely hate. But if I get one of these brothers in the room, it ain't gonna be a hate conversation. It's gonna be a love conversation. I'm gonna express to you about why some of the things you're doing may be harmful. I'm gonna give you love, because to be a young black man who make it out of our inner city and be successful at anything is 100. You see? So if we lead it with love, I'm not gonna separate. I'm not gonna separate if you're light skinned, you're dark skinned, you got money, you don't got money, Democrat, Republic. I don't play any of them fucking games.
I like that.
We all black. Let's start there.
I love it. I love it. So Harrison, let my listeners know where they can find you, where they can sign up, where they can listen to and watch the Melanated Convo podcast. Run out of time today. There's more questions I got for you, but we're running out of time. We're going to have to dissect this again. We're going to have to do a part 2. I already knew that when we ran this, I was already thinking about all the questions I wanted to ask you, everything I wanted to talk to you about. I was like, shit, there ain't no way I'm going to be able to fit this in a 25-minute podcast, something like that. We're going to have to run it back. But shoot out all your social media info so all my people can definitely get in touch with you, Harrison, and sign up and listen to this Melanated Convo podcast, my brother.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for having me on again, brother. So, yes, go to melanatedconvo.com. Melanatedconvo.com is where you can find everything. You can find the latest episodes of the show. You can find videos I do about history. You can find the articles we write about the different news stories going on. On Instagram, you can find me at Melanated Convo 100. The YouTube page is The Melanated Convo. You can, if you put in The Melanated Convo on Google, you can find the YouTube page, all the streaming platforms that we're on. So yeah, again, I appreciate you having me on, brother. Much love to you, man. I appreciate everything.
Harrison Anderson, the Melanated Convo podcast, brother. Thanks again for coming on. We're gonna do it again. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Keep banging, man. We definitely stay in touch. Keep putting out that good shit, man. Have a good night, brother.
I appreciate you.
All right.